Almost removed myself. Okay, we are going. Today's fellow fasting foodie friend has been fasting since August 2020. One of his favorite hobbies is woodworking, and fun fact, he's also my father. Today's guest is Kirk Lydy. Welcome, Kirk.
Hello, nice to be here with you. I'm very honored to be your first guest on your new podcast.
Yeah, I
Congratulations.
wouldn't pick. Thank you. I wouldn't pick anyone else. It's perfect to launch. So thank you for being here and taking the time to do this.
My
You're a
pleasure.
favorite You're a favorite on the channel and videos, so I know the podcast will be well received. People like to hear your story. We have very different stories, so I think that's great.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a journey, and you just having conversations with you off and on has definitely helped. And so I look forward to this part of the journey.
Me too. So the first question, are you currently fasting or are you in your eating window?
I am currently fasting. I'm an OMAD, so I eat one meal a day, and during my work week, I eat between 6 and 8, right around there.
Okay.
Yep.
So is today a work day? Is that the plan
Today
for
is a
today?
work day. Yeah, today is a work day. We actually moved our schedule. I have to go in earlier today because of we got some meetings going on at work, so a lot of change. But just today we're going in early. But yep, we're still fasting. Be eating about 5, 6 o'clock again.
Okay. Anything amazing on your OMAD menu?
Yes, my wife made homemade stew. So we've
Oh,
got
yeah.
some, yeah, stew that we're gonna eat and little some bread and butter, and we love it.
You
And,
know, it's
and
funny you say bread and butter because that's one of the like huge mindset shifts I've been able to have with fasting is I don't think of how much butter is on the bread. Can I dip two
exactly,
rolls in the stew? And so that's like one of the big, it's like minor, but it's a huge shift in just enjoying meals. I'm able to have the bread and the butter and the
exactly.
meal.
Yep. I was at my, I had a physical earlier this week, and I was talking to the doctor, and one of the things she was asking me about fasting, and she says, "Well, it seems to be working. Everything looks good for you," but then she said, "How do I like watching your carbs and stuff?" Because she was talking about my cholesterol levels, and I said, "No, I really don't, diet that way as far as watching. It's just me, restricting my window, so it's just still." It came right up out of the doctor's mouth, watching your carbs and this and that. I said, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's not. And then she even asked, she goes, do you put cream in your coffee? And I said, no, that's that I clean fast. So it's, even though she's heard about it, it was very evident that she hadn't really researched it, try to get
Mm-hmm.
information. So, um, very interesting, but she said she has a lot of people that do it and are successful, but she didn't know very much about, as far as how it really works and stuff. So,
Okay. But based on what she saw with you, she was supportive of you doing it.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Matter of
awesome.
fact, I told her I'm going to come in and get my blood work next Tuesday because I'll be right towards the end of a 46-hour fast.
That's
So I
awesome.
want to
And that's
see.
something new for you, right?
It
The long
is.
fast?
It is. After you and me had our second YouTube visit out at the beach, we had talked about you just had recently done a 100-hour fast. And at that
Yes.
point, I had only done about a 20 some hour. No, I did more like a 32 hour or something was my longest. So I decided, I'm gonna try to do uh, miss a day, just take a day off and see how that goes. And I was very surprised. So I did it once, and now we're getting ready to kind of kicking the season off a little bit. I've decided to see how long I can go skipping Mondays, just not eating Mondays.
Okay. Very cool. I like the
Yeah.
when I do alternate day fasting, I don't have a set day. I go with whatever's my busiest day of the week. It's just really easy for me to have the no eat days. For instance, 2 days ago I recorded two podcasts and I went live and then I went to a basketball game out of town. It was really easy to not eat that day. But I
hmm
like the stability or kind of the known of I just don't eat Mondays. I could see
Yeah.
doing that.
And that's
And how
Monday is my busiest day, so that's exactly
okay.
the same principle. We get back, we have a lot of stuff to catch up from the weekend that happens, or a little bit. I have to hang some reports, so there's just a lot more stuff that I have to do on a Monday. So it works out.
Truly takes one thing off your plate.
Uh, She's
So
funny.
early in your yeah, early in your journey, do you have any like particular memory or event where you think this OMAD thing could be lifelong?
Yeah, it was actually it's kind of funny. It was Easter of 2021, because we were doing uh, the 18.6 and having good success, but I had kind of plateaued. It's just I really wasn't seeing the weight come off, and we were going to have host Easter dinner that weekend. And Kim said, "Well, we're just gonna have it a little bit later." And I ate one time that day, and I didn't eat the rest. And I was like, I just did one meal a day. It was like I didn't have a lunch, and then so I said, I told Kim that night, I said, I think I'm going to try to one meal a day and not eat until I come home from work. And that was a very mentally, that was a very hard decision because I'm used to packing something for my lunch, even though I
Mm-hmm.
was packing a little bit less because now it was just a little snack at one and then dinner. And when I got home, I didn't pack anything. And so that was definitely a shift in a practice that I had been changing. I already went from I'm packing so I can eat from 7:30 all day, the small meals every day, to now I didn't pack anything. And it was a tough transition, but I've said this before, most of them transitions are mental. It is
Yeah,
amazing how that it's not really my body is starving. It's just a mental. You're so used, you get so asphyxiated with your schedule that, oh, I got to eat. It's 5 o'clock, and you don't.
right.
So, and that was
I
one of
just
the
did a.
after. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I
I was
just
just
say
gonna
that
say I just go. You go. I'm done.
ladies first.
I was just gonna say on the mental part, I just did a 36-hour fast, and someone on Instagram said, "When do you feel hungry?" And I told her my hunger actually is only when it's normally that I'd eat. It's not even a true I need to eat. Even when I do the longer fast, it's like my body's like, "Hey, we normally do something right now," and
Mhm.
just having to push through the norm. Because even with OMAD, my
Exactly.
body's like, "Well, we normally eat now," so the longer fast is just pushing through, and then you get through the hump, and
Yeah, and
it
I think when you say push through that, the what part of the when you say push through, people who haven't done this, they may think like, oh, this is going to take like an hour of just struggle, agony. And it's really not. It's less than a minute. When they say push through, I'm going to take a drink of my coffee, maybe have a glass of cold water, whatever, and then it goes away. Your body, it doesn't like hang with you. If it hangs with you, then your body is communicating with you that
right.
you have to do something. So that as you do this process, you start to pick up on them little nuances as far as, nope, this is just I got to push through this, or no, my body's telling me I'm hungry. I am going to eat. So
Yep, I totally agree. And then just there's a lot of strength in developing that skill. Like you feel
yes,
that there's
yes,
there's a lot that you build confidence in the process. You know, you build the fasting muscle, but it's so much more than just the ability to fast. It's listening to your body, what actually sounds good. And
yeah.
do you diet at all in your eating window?
No, no. If I take food away, it's only because I have felt that it just doesn't make me feel good. Milk is something that we've talked about. If I have milk close to bedtime, then I don't feel good the next day. But I can have milk earlier in the day with some cookies or something. Like say if we have an earlier window, and it'll be fine as long as my body has time to process it through. But if I go and have milk and lay down, so that is something that is not on my daily
Yeah.
routine. When I have it, I know I'm taking that risk. So
Yep. And that goes right with the confidence thing. You have the confidence in choosing not to have that because you've listened to your
exactly,
body and you've learned. And that's honestly more than the weight loss. I love that of fasting. I can trust and listen to my body and feel confident in the decisions that I make.
yeah. Well, and a lot of times people they experience that and they don't realize it, because they eat throughout the day. They don't have the opportunity to isolate what is it that I ate. And when you fast, I was like, okay, all I had was this, this, and this. The next day I didn't, and I didn't feel this way. You can start eliminating stuff, but when you eat all day, it's a little bit harder. I knew before I ever started fasting that pop was not good for me. It gave me indigestion, and if I had pop, it was going to be something. So it was easy for me to give up pop, and I did that long before. But I went to diet or I did this, but any kind of pop will give me indigestion. So when I have them
Okay.
windows where I say I'm going to have a pizza, I'm going to have some pop. I just know that I may suffer for that. So
Yep. Um, so when you started fasting, did you have any pushback from those in your life, or were you open with it and sharing with others? How did you approach the start?
um, well, luckily both me and my wife decided to try that the same time. Um, there was a little bit of pushback from her from the standpoint of I advanced on to OMAD and she didn't. She didn't think sh At first she said, "Well, you're not really losing any weight at the start. Is it really working?" And I was more engaged reading the books, listening to some tapes as far as trying to really find the science out behind it. She didn't do that as much. She was seeing results, so she knew she was feeling better and she was seeing results. I just wasn't seeing the results as fast. So
Mm-hmm.
my body needed a shorter window. That was just what it ended up being for me. I just needed to have a shorter eating window, and then we start. So when I went to that OMAD, she was just like, I am not going to do that. So there was some times where there was some conflict because she felt guilty because maybe on a Saturday when we're home together, she was going to have start eating. And I said, well, that's fine. So there was just some stuff that we had to work through like that. Uh, but once she realized it does not matter, you eat when you want because this is a
Right.
study of one, and I will support you 100%. Now that I've trained myself and I've been doing that, I can sit there and help make dinner. I'll make dinner 6, 7 hours before I'm ever going to eat, and I haven't ate for 17 already. So it's just
Yep.
I'm fine with that, and we both have that understanding now. Um,
That's good.
what Yeah, and I do share. I share with people, anybody who asks, anybody who knew me from 2 years ago, and they see me now, they're like, "Okay, what are you doing? You definitely look different." Um, so yeah, I share it with them. Uh, Somebody may say, "Why you like at work?" Now I have a new job, been there for about a year. So when I first started, people, "You don't eat at all?" No. So then they start asking questions, and then I tell
Mm-hmm.
them. So definitely share the story. Very few people will say, "Oh, I'm not going to starve myself," and I try to just no, change the verbiage on that a little bit. It's not starving. It's choosing my window, delaying. So uh, most people, oh, okay, well, looks like it's working for you, so that's good. And then
Yep.
every once in a while, you'll get one of them people that come back and say, "Okay, tell me a little bit more about this." What?
Yeah, you never know
So
when you plant the seed.
exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And
Funny thing, last week I went to go to my printer to pick up some paperwork, and somebody had printed out autophagy. How long does autophagy take when you're fasting? I had no
huh.
idea who I was trying to figure out. It was about 5 pages. So somebody had printed something from work and was looking into it. And I thought, oh, I wish I could find out who this person is, but I had no idea. So
Well, now what you need to do is print a paper. Are you interested in autophagy? Come talk to Kirk.
there
And
you
leave
go.
it there
Yes.
for the next thing they
Yeah.
print.
Yep.
Be the
Yep.
office sleuth.
There you go.
Um, I one thing I remember you telling me in the past that I always think is really encouraging is you started to have coworkers that if they brought in donuts, they just put one to the side and say, "Oh, we saved this for you, Kirk," or you do that yourself. And I think that's a very practical and extremely easy way to still, like show your people in your life, especially if it's new. Oh, I still enjoy food. Don't think I'm starving myself. I just choose. And that's an easy way for listeners that might be like, "Oh, I get the same thing from coworkers about starvation. Oh no, I like donuts. I'll take one for later." And
Yep.
I think I remember you saying that they would just bring it to you. "Oh, we know you're not going to eat it, but here's something for later." And I think that
Absolutely.
just is a great
Yep. Yeah,
illustration.
we had a celebration last night. We have one of my employees who she's leaving the company, got a job better for her situation, and we were all happy for her. So we had cake and ice cream, and as the lady was cutting, she goes, "Kirk, I'm going to set some aside. Do you want yellow, brown?" I said, "I'll take one of each." And I took ice cream and I just wrapped it and put it on my desk and took an ice cream to the freezer. and they just knew. This group
Yep.
knows. There was one guy who said, when do you eat?" And I told him, and he goes, "Ugh, that's crazy." And it's so funny because he is very skinny, and he eats a very particular diet. But I mean, he's like, he'll sit there and eat out of a spinach bucket and just eat spinach, has pizza one
Yeah.
day a week. And he's in good shape, but yeah, it's really weird.
So
But
it's funny what's restricting to one person, but you look at what he does and I think I could never do that. I mean, I like
exactly.
spinach,
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah, that's a great
I
observation. I didn't look at it like that. Yeah.
yeah, it is funny because I'll have on YouTube comments, people will say, "Oh, you're," whatever they want to say, but then I know that what they're suggesting is just as restrictive, if not more. It's just in a different way, but they think their way is
Exactly.
right. Um,
Exactly.
but I think people, and this is one of the reasons I like to do YouTube and podcasts. It's fasting is so much more freeing than people realize. And I
It
think the
is.
more that we illustrate different schedules, different eating windows, different approaches, people can see it can work for any different life. And one way that I was hoping you'd talk is, you don't work a first shift job, and I get people that will ask, like, how would you suggest for, shift, are you second shift? Is that the right way? Is that
Second shift.
accurate?
Yep. I go in and I start at 2 normally and work till 11.
Okay, and so they'll bring up different hours, and I don't really know, what would be best for their life, but their concern is the weekend they join the first shift world, essentially, how they should do their windows. So can you talk about how you shift your windows, how you eat, like your schedule?
Well, for me being OMAD, I am one meal a day, and we did that before when I was on first shift. So I would not eat at work at all day, and when I got home, we'd have dinner. So I kept my window in about the same time frame. It used to be
Oh,
around
okay.
5 to 6. Now it's just between 6 and 7:30. One thing I found out is for me, I do sleep better with a little bit of food in my stomach. If I am like I've ate too early in the day, I don't sleep as well. Um,
Okay.
so I kind of pushed my window back a little bit. That's why I kind of go 6 to 7:30 ish. So, but it's a matter of just getting in that habit. We have one of our in-laws. He says, "Well, I can't fast because I have all this weird schedule." And it's like, well, your schedule is your schedule. You just have to decide when you want to make that commitment to when you're going to eat. And so he's like, I just can't do that. You don't understand. I'm like, okay, at work, I I don't have a dinger that goes off and says at 6 o'clock, Kirk, it's time to work. I have
Yeah.
people that come up to me, so it's gonna float in there. But that's the nice thing about not the diet part is I can float it by an hour or so, and it's not like I broke my commitment. It's like, oh no, it fluctuates, and so it still works good. But I just would suggest for the off shifters that they have to kind of pick a time that is going to work for them within their schedule. There may be some off shifters that do have a set time. The bell goes off, they have to eat at 7. So that might be something that they have to just try to work into that window and maybe take a snack before as they're going into work or something. If they have a longer 6 hour window or something. But there's ways to do it. You just have to decide that it's what I want to do.
Totally agree. And I also tell everyone, just because you try one way doesn't mean you're stuck with that. Just keep playing with it. If you
Exactly.
try try whatever your scheduled break is, or try fasting the entire time you're at work, there's so many ways to approach it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. I just said it earlier. It's a study of one. So there's no wrong way. Just keep trying it, and eventually something's going to click and make sense. Um, and you may find out too if you wait. Um, there are some people who don't eat at all, and then they get out of work and then they eat. And there's some people who
Mhm.
will only eat before the day and they eat earlier and then they go to work. So you just have to kind of figure out, and I'm not suggesting everybody go to one meal. I'm just saying that you just
Oh
have to
yeah.
keep, like you said, keep trying, keep uh, doing different ways, and something's going to click and you'll feel good about it.
Yep. And to your point of not having to go to one meal, I often get comments from people because I do OMAD mostly and I find success with it. They'll say, I tried OMAD and I hated it. Well, then that's not the one for you. Because on the converse, I couldn't do 18-6 daily without overeating. That's for me personally. I could eat a lot in 6 hours every single day. And so it's just a matter of finding out what works for you, what your preferences are. And as Jen Stevens says, tweak it till it's easy.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
um, I have the unique perspective for you as a guest that most people I won't have, but I remember you dieting often growing up,
Hmm.
and I was just wondering if you could speak to maybe the mental freedom, if you experience that between diet lifestyle and adopting fasting, like how your relationship with food has maybe changed.
Sure. Sure. So when I dieted, I tried all kinds of different practices. Uh, I never did do the keto, but Atkins diet was one that I found success with. I could, okay, it's time for me to diet. Usually it was always in the early spring. I'd start the diet, and um, I was successful with it, but it was very hard to maintain. So it was just, okay, don't eat the carbs, don't, eat the chicken, don't eat this, eat this. So I was very much right off the bat having to restrict stuff that I liked. And so that just made it hard to maintain. Um, you and me are a lot alike. We've talked about this, how we set our mind to something, we're going to do it. So
Yep.
I had that ability to do that, and I could do that for a while, and I was very successful. I'd lose weight. Oh my gosh, I'd have to go out and buy new pants. But then after a while, I'd be successful. Like, okay, I'm going to go back, and then it slowly starts trickling in some of the other stuff that I shouldn't be eating because that you couldn't eat
Mm-hmm.
that, and it just went away. And then I wasn't dieting again. Then I was just back to what I was doing before. So the freedom of doing uh, the intermittent fasting was I didn't have to restrict foods. I didn't have to count. I didn't have to get on an app and say, okay, I'm going to eat a cup of this, 2 cups of this, 4 ounces of this. I didn't do that, and then that was just taking that out of my mind. Just I loved it. It
Yeah.
was like very much a game changer, and it really was an eye opening experience for me because I go into work knowing I'm not going to eat and just kind of like you said, push through them mental uh, time frames as far as, oh, I'm supposed to eat now. And I was more productive at work because I wasn't running back and forth to the kitchen. I could see people, we're sitting down, getting ready to start our day. They're going to the kitchen, making their oatmeal. They're going to the kitchen to wash their dishes. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that they would be, oh, I got to do this. And I started this diet, so I'm not going to eat now. And I had that freedom. I didn't worry about that. And then whatever I wanted to eat, they're like, you're eating that? What do you d-" So they were always questioning, "Well, you get to eat that?" I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
had a guy tell me a couple weeks ago, he goes, "You sure do eat well for somebody who supposedly is on a diet." And I said, "Not on a diet." I said, I
Yep.
this is just my window." And he's like, "Huh." But he's a very thin guy. He was very good shape. So he just was questioning, "Well, you keep saying you're doing this, but well, you sure do eat well."
Yep.
So it's just been very freeing. I don't have to ever look at the label. Is this what's in this? How many calories are in this? And so that's been a
And
very, very huge weight off my mind.
that's awesome. And I have found the same thing. And I know you're extremely social. So, one of my favorite things, and we're less social just with the kids, we don't get to go do as much. But
Sure.
I love if a friend invites us over, I don't worry about the recipe they make. I don't worry about what's going to be served. It doesn't have to fit macros or low carb. You can go anywhere, restaurant, friend's house, be social and enjoy. I mean, maybe it's not going to be your favorite food, but you don't have the mental diet burden on top of that.
Right. And the other thing that we uh now that we have been doing this for a while, a lot of our social group know that we fast. So they'll say, hey, let's have dinner. How early can we have dinner? They'll ask us that. And we try to because we've been doing this, we try to be more flexible. Her
Mhm.
brother wanted to take us, wanted to get together at night, didn't work out. So he said, "Is there any chance that you guys would do breakfast?" And it was a nice gesture. And we said, "You know what?" I told Kim, I said, "Yes, let's go ahead and do that." So we went to breakfast. Probably the first time I had had breakfast at 9 o'clock in the morning in probably a year and a half. So we had a breakfast. We changed our, we did that just for that day. Wasn't gonna mean we're gonna
Mhm.
eat breakfast. We didn't. I enjoyed the food. It tasted good, but we both got done. We are like, did you know what? This is just not what we do. And so it just kind
Okay.
of reiterated. We like having that time in there. We felt lethargic. We ended up taking a nap that day. It was just not a good. Again, the food was great. We love eating there, but it was just not a good start to our Saturday. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know,
I definitely have more tired days on my up days because there's nothing I love more than having a long fast and going to breakfast with a friend. I have a friend, her and I both have school days now that we never had in the past, so it feels extremely like a treat getting to meet an adult for breakfast. And I'll do a down day to have that as my up day, but I definitely don't feel as good mentally
yes,
and even physically as I do on my OMAD days. And it really reinforces that I don't
hmm
do this just to maintain weight loss. I feel so much better. And there are days I
exactly.
make the sacrifice of, I'm not going to feel optimum because I have the flexibility and maybe there's other benefits, but it definitely reinforces how good I feel on this lifestyle.
Well, and the change too, because you kind of hit on this, is like, what are some of the changes that's happened with food? You don't feel the guilt when you change that schedule. There was no guilt. I didn't go
No.
back and say, "Oh, I really let myself down," because I didn't, because I knew this was just going to be a one-time thing. I did it so that I can enjoy life with my family. So that was good. I didn't have to feel guilty like I had to sacrifice something for them. Um, I just didn't feel as good. So it just reinforced to me that when I make them decisions, it's going to be far and few between, but it's going to be
Right.
solely based on the decision of I want to enjoy time with my family or with friends. And that's okay to do that. So many times when people have to make that decision, there's guilt involved because, like, well, I'm going to go over to my friend's house and they're going to have this, and I'm not supposed to eat these things, but I'm just going to do it. And they don't like that. So then they don't
Yeah.
really enjoy the time as much either.
Yep. Yeah, it does. It has the mental weight that you're carrying the entire social event. And we don't
Exactly.
have that anymore.
Yep.
It's interesting you talk about what you do on the regular versus every once in a while, because when I first started fasting was about 3 months before you, and the first time, and this is actually the weekend that I talked to you about fasting, that I broke my standard of 18 hours minimum was having breakfast at your house. So little background, I'm camping at my dad's house. His wife, her kids and grandkids are there as well. And I had never met them until this weekend. And there was this big breakfast, and I was going to fast through it. And I really wasn't even hungry, but it just felt very communal. Everyone was sitting around, and I just wanted to participate. And I was about 40 minutes shy of 18 hours, which looking back sounds really ridiculous now that I was kind of stressed about it. Almost 3 years later, I would not be the same stress, but it was the first time I chose to not go 18 hours and that it was worth the social and to participate. And it was a great breakfast, and I was really glad that I did it. But that really reinforced the flexibility. It was the first time that I allowed myself to, even though I have this lifestyle and the schedule that I love, I can break it on occasion, and the abnormal doesn't dictate what is normally done or my normal results. So that was the
Exactly.
first flex, was at your house with the breakfast.
Ah, see, look, Dad's always trying to teach you.
Yeah, and then I remember I ate like 3 no-bake cookies right after breakfast, and I thought, well, I didn't need to do that, but I did, and here I am still doing all right.
Yes. Yep. Yep. We still have them times when we like, I
Oh,
probably
yeah.
didn't need to eat that, but we're still doing all right.
One thing that I get asked all the time is, especially when people try to start with OMAD, they feel like they eat everything under the sun. Did you experience a feeling of overeating when you opened your eating window? And how did that change over time, if you did?
I I did feel like I was overeating because I think that was kind of the um, reason why I didn't have as much success early on was that, well, I can eat and I have this window so I can eat. So I just kept eating. And like you said, we can put a lot of food away in a 6 hour time. So that was one of the reasons why I shortened my window down, just trying to limit the time that I would eat. um, there are still times when I usually I find it, well, I may open my window a little bit earlier on the weekends, or we may stay up and watch some TV or a movie, and so I stretched it out a little bit. So there's still times when I have to. Um, it's better for me to have that shorter window where I still do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but again, my mindset has changed a little bit as far as my end goal. Um, I have decided, when I first started doing the OMAD, my goal was to get to under 200 pounds. And now I'm not looking at that as much. I actually told Kim a while back that I have some pants that I want to be my guide. And I'm not going to look at the weight. I have not jumped on a scale. Well, at my, uh, um, oh shoot, I can't think of the word at when I went for my health checkup.
Your physical.
Thank you. Yes, my physical, that just word escaped me. That was the last time I was on the scale for quite a few months. So now I'm looking at, I have two pair of pants that I want to make sure that they are my guide. They're my work pants, so I wear them a lot, and I want that to be my guide. So I'm not really looking at getting to a certain weight. If I can get in them pants comfortably and stay in them, then I'll be happy, and that'll be a good
That's awesome.
maintain for the rest of my life. And I think that's another mindset that I know Jen spoke about that a lot. She threw all her scales away. She
Yep.
just that was just one of them things that people, because it can be so depressing. The change that you feel from day to day, or I'm sorry, the change that you see from day to day can be so detrimental to your mindset. And it's not really real. It's just like maybe you had more water, you have water that didn't go out of your body. So that just trying to get away from that is key.
Yep, I did the same. I don't weigh myself rarely, and I do a lot of things for YouTube stats to share, but that's just not good for me mentally because it's the same thing. I feel good. I feel happy with the schedule I'm doing and how OMAD is serving me that I don't need to add in the negativity because really at this point it doesn't really matter because if I feel good and I like the lifestyle, I don't really care what the number is. And I do
Yep.
think it takes a lot of mental shifting. And going back to the overeating in the window, one thing I tell people, and I'm curious if you've experienced this, is you're even if you do feel like any food in front of you you eat, you're going to start to develop discernment. What is worth eating? You're not going to eat every single food that's in front of you long term. You kind of have to develop the fasting muscle, but then you're going to realize if I eat all the junk up front, I won't actually have room for my meal, or I'll realize I'm not feeling good. And you'll start to shift your habits, and it won't be the same forever. It's just part of adjusting. And I think
Yes.
most people find that.
Yes, they do. I will say that Kim has probably got there quicker than I did, which is probably why she can have a longer window, because she's always saying, "I my body is telling me I want more vegetables. I want more vegetables." So she is a lot better than I love vegetables, but I don't.
Mhm.
I can I can have some snacks. My favorite food to open with is nuts. I love nuts, and I like meats and cheeses. Some, meats, cheese, sausage, or I make homemade pickles, so I have some of them. So them are my two favorite things that I will open my window with, just start
Okay.
snacking, and then I have the meal. So, um, but she has done a better job at for sure at eliminating stuff. I still um, can eat just about anything. It's just I
Yep.
don't really have, and I feel good about it. I just uh, there's times when I probably I should eliminate some more stuff than what I do. So, and I've really tried to like on my sweets and stuff. It's like okay, it's all right to have a couple of my favorite chocolate nut from Aldi, but not to have a whole container. Don't
Yeah.
because. some nights that can happen and I don't even realize it. It's kind of like you're bored, you're watching TV, so you're just naturally putting things like, did I just eat that whole thing? Well, that's not good.
Yeah, and I always use donuts as my example, Sweetwater's. I love Sweetwater's donuts
Oh
around
yeah.
here. And even though I don't eliminate anything from my diet, it doesn't mean that I choose to have Sweetwater's every day. There's still, and I feel like it comes with what makes you feel good. What do you know is good for you long term? How do I maintain this good feeling? But if I have a Boston cream yesterday, chances are much lower that I'll choose to have it anytime in the next few days because one, I got the fill, I got the taste that I was craving or whatever. But then
Hmm.
also I just know that it's not the choice to make every day.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
So what's your favorite window closer? You mentioned the opener.
Um, typically it'll kind of it goes between sweet and salty. I like I do like cookies. Well, I get the dark chocolate coconut almonds. I like take
Mm-hmm.
them, and I'll have a few of them with the water. Uh, um, so just something like that. It's a little sweet, something a little sweet. Uh, that's it. But then we're like
Okay.
the range. Yeah.
Have you
Kim
ever
makes
made
chocolate chip cookies, and that's good.
okay. I was just gonna say, have you ever made taken your cashews and made them into cookies? It's
I
an
haven't.
idea for you.
Okay, that's all right. That sounds good. I do. I remember uh, Jen said something about doing dates, and she takes and eats it with peanut butter, and so I had done that quite a few times. That's one of my snacks that I'll have. And Kim just bought dates, and she's like, "Oh my God, these are delicious from Aldi's,"
They're
and I
so
said,
good.
"Yes, they are very good." So we have been turning more to that.
Okay.
And that, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. I probably put a little bit more peanut butter on than I should, but they're still good.
It's still very good. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
move into the fast food round, the rapid fire questions.
All
You ready?
right. Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite drink?
Favorite drink will depend on what I eat, but always have pop with pizza, but mainly I just drink water.
Okay,
I drink LaCroix, key lime. That's my drink I
oh,
have every
that's
night with
good.
dinner. I have one can
That
of
is
that every night with dinner.
that's one of the flavors, and the limoncello, they both have like a creaminess to them. I don't know how they achieve it without cream, but don't you think it tastes creamy, the key lime?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
I love that flavor.
yep. I just have one can of that with water with my meal.
I actually think that's another illustration of how fasting changes just your patterns because I almost exclusively drink water and coffee every day, even in my eating window, because it's what I have all the time.
Hmm.
I still love pop. I just don't drink it nearly as often as I used to. And it's not because I can't, my habits just change.
Yeah. It's there's just certain foods that I will never have. I mean, to me, having a piece of pizza or having some pizza without a pop, it's just not the same. And I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. If I
Yep.
have pizza and water, then I've made a diet decision. When I have
Yeah.
pizza and pop, I've just made a enjoyment decision.
I think that's perfect. That's exactly how I am too. What's
Mm.
your favorite food?
Steak and potato, absolutely. I like a ribeye cooked on the grill.
Yum. I would have put money on you saying steak. That was what I was guessing.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest food combination you love?
Hmm. I don't know. I can't. Weirdest food combination. Oh, you stumped me on that one. I really don't
Okay.
know.
That's all
Yeah,
right. You don't have to love a weird food combo. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I, I think so too. You're among the good on that. I will disagree with anyone that says otherwise. What's a food that most people love that you dislike?
There is, there is, that was a tough one. I don't have any. If most people love liver, then I'm on the dislike on that one. But I don't think most people like that.
I don't
So
think
I
so
really don't
either.
have a food. I mean, that,
Okay. That's all right.
yeah,
And what
I
would be
like,
your last Oh, sorry.
No, I just say I like to eat.
Me too. I come by it naturally, I guess.
Yes, you do.
What would be your last meal if you got to pick the perfect last meal? You're never gonna eat again.
It's gonna be a ribeye steak with a French fries, not baked potato, but French fries, and I'm gonna take broccoli and saute it with bacon. That would be
Ooh,
and a lot of broccoli. I could eat. I try to eat more broccoli, but I just we we always don't have ever have enough broccoli. I love broccoli,
yeah, I
so
love broccoli
that'd be
too.
and then
Awesome.
finish
It
it
sounds like a
off.
delicious meal.
Yeah, and then finish it off with that cherry ice cream from Aldi's. God, that stuff is good.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it the
it's very
black
tasty.
cherry?
It's the like in the little cups. You know, you like kind of
Okay,
like a yeah, it's the little one. It's the red lid cherry, and it's just
I'll have to
very
look for
good.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the knockoff Cherry Garcia from Ben and Jerry's?
Yes.
I think. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Oh, you'll
I've never had.
yeah.
I've had similar ones, but I've never had the Aldi one. I'll have to get that soon.
Yeah, it's kind of our staple as far as that's our once a week we're gonna have late night, and so we get out of work and that's usually there. I have that. She's changed over to something else like a chocolate almond or something. So,
Oh,
but that's
okay.
our once a week indulgement.
And how fun that can fit right into your lifestyle. No guilt.
Yeah,
It's there.
no guilt at all.
Something to
Yep,
look forward to. That's
absolutely.
awesome. Well, we finished the fast food, and I just want to give you kind of open mic. Is there anything we didn't discuss that you want to share with potential new fasters?
Yeah. One of the things we were talking earlier in the week, and I had said I had a very cool observation when I did my 40-hour fast. And it really, um, to me, I've said this many times, I think the fasting part is as much of a mental issue as it is, I mean, more than a mental issue than it is physical. So when I did my 40-hour fast, I was really nervous the first time that I did that because like I'm not taking no food to work and I'm not going to eat because, you know, when I get home, we're going to go to bed. So this is going to be a long stretch. And I knew it was going to be busy. So I was able to do that. But I was so surprised at how little I had to really deal with it. I was just like, I told because Kim's like, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing fine." I mean, I have a little bit, my stomach will say it, and I just got a drink, but I was fine. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any issue. I didn't feel like I was starving. I just, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. I got to put. It was nothing like that. But the very next day, when my window was getting ready to open, I was super hungry. And I said, "See, it's mental because
Yeah, because
I
you knew.
told yeah, I knew." And my body's like, "Okay, you promised us we're going to eat it this time. We're ready." And so I was so the next time I decided to do the skip a day, I wasn't as apprehensive for sure. And it was the exact same thing, Jackie. It was the I had Monday, Kim goes, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I have no issues at all. I'm not even thinking about it." And it was just really cool. And the next day, I had my food and it was ready. And about 5:30, I said, "Okay, I'm going to open my window a little early." And we ate, and I enjoyed it. And that
Awesome.
was the other thing too. Packing my lunch around 12:30. I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited about this meal. I'm very happy." And Kim goes, "Well, yeah, you haven't ate." And I said, "It's not like that. I'm not starving right now." I said, "I'm just excited that I'm rewarding
Because you
myself
like
with
to
this."
eat.
Yeah, and I said, and it tasted good, and I enjoyed it, and but so that was just one thing that really I think people need to understand when they try this journey is you are trying to break mental habits, and
Oh yeah.
you didn't make them habits in a month or a week. You made them over years and years of eating. So give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, and when you try this road, make sure that you're giving yourself the time. And you didn't fail if you went 30 days and did it different the next 2 days and decided to get back on. You didn't fail. You are working through something that you built in years. So
Yep.
you have to make sure, and believe me, mentally when you get to that point, you'll it is so freeing. You'll really enjoy it.
That's
So,
awesome. And to your point about the how amazing, like, how you can feel really good to do that. When I did my 72-hour fast last spring, I had everything ready for my meal, but I actually
Hmm.
wished I could go further, but I had it all prepared and I was amazed at how I could keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what made me want to do the 100-hour fast. And I actually started that leaving your house that weekend. Um, was I ate my last meal there right before we left, and then I fasted for 100 hours because I was so encouraged by how good I felt at 72.
Hmm.
But my
Hmm.
stumbling block was that I mentally and actually physically prepared a meal for later. So I was like, well, I have that already. I can't really not do that. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it. But it is
Yep.
really it's amazing how you can mentally prepare yourself and then your physical just goes with it. And
It
you build
does.
up to it. I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting any new faster starts that. But
Nope.
it's an awesome confidence to have that skill.
Yeah. And like one thing you just said, you said you build up to that. When I first started fasting, I was nervous because I always ate at 7:30. Didn't know how I was going to do it, and it was a push to get to 11. I think was the first. No, we did one. It was a push. Then I realized it's not that bad. So then the next move I made, I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And that was the Easter when I went to the one meal, and it was like, can I do this? I didn't have any food. That was a little bit easier because I had already started this process. But every time I've made some kind of adjustment, whether it be lengthening or I'm going to try the skip a meal a day or, every time it was mentally I was more nervous about it than how my body reacted. So it's a
Mhm.
build up there. And again, like I said, just stick with it and you'll see it. And once you feel that, that's it's rewarding because when you can start feel it, you realize the difference between my body's just mentally saying I should eat something versus no, my body really needs something. Because there's times when I do my OMAD where my body's just saying, no, we need something, and I'll break out the nuts at 4:30 versus
Yeah.
6 o'clock. And I don't feel bad about that. It's just my body was telling me. And then I can kind of get back. And I always look at it like this. If you were in a normal day to day, say you're one meal, or say you're even 24 or a 18/6, whatever it is that you're doing, um, you'll know. But if all of a sudden something just you can't concentrate, you can't focus on anything but your body, you just feel, oh my God, I'm hungry. Don't look at that as a failure. Your body's communicating with you. So that one day, go ahead, open it, do a 15/9 or whatever. Probably can't do the
Yeah.
math there, but do the 15/9 instead of the 16/8, and that's okay because your body is actually telling you. And once you start picking up on them, realizing what your body is saying to you, you'll have a lot more success. And that's what that's what they
Awesome.
say, that study of one. That's what it is. You're listening to what your body is saying.
Very cool. Well, Dad, that's awfully encouraging, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of your information and your encouragement for all the listeners. I know that they love having you on the YouTube channel, and I'm sure the podcast will be no different, which is why you're guest number one.
Sweet. Well, I am very honored. I know that you're going to kill this, and you're going to have a lot of success. You've been an inspiration to me and Kim, and I love the fact that I have you on my phone where I can just quickly ask you a question or get any kind of information. So keep doing what you're doing. Very proud of you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dad. Okay, we're going to sign off now.